right, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Real Talk Real Estate. I am joined here by the gorgeous, wonderfully successful Nichola Kouzes. She is the principal of the David Ivey Group here in the DFW area. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here.
With your crazy schedule, I don't even know how you made time for me, but...
Get out of here. Anytime you need me, I'm always here for you.
Thank you, babe. Well, I always like to highlight my guests, and I understand so much about you, but the world doesn't yet.
Sure.
And so there is a really deep-rooted sense of Texas in Nichola Kouzes for so many reasons, and I'll get into those in our next episode. But tell me a little bit about what differentiates you, being a born and raised local area, Colleyville, homegrown Texas real estate agent. Tell me everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so crazy because, being raised in Colleyville and kind of growing up in the DFW area, I really didn't think anything of it. And I never saw this town as a commuter town. But as I grew up and obviously got into real estate, I started realizing...
And she grew up so beautiful.
Oh, quit. You're gonna make me blush. But as I grew up, I started really realizing how much of a commuter town this was. And obviously over the past few years, it has only rapidly grown even more immensely into a commuter town. So I think it's such a key component for any realtor to be able to say that this is my roots. This is where I come from, and these are my streets.
Welcome to Texas. Literally.
Yes, howdy, welcome. And show them not only the aspect of what they come home to every single night, which is obviously one of the most important things to people, but also being able to be someone to introduce them to everything else that we love about our town and encompass. So, it's such we've become such a big city, but still have such small hometown roots. Yeah. And I think there's something so special about that. And honestly, that's like how I met you. Scooter, I met you through another realtor, and they raved reviews about how phenomenal you were. And I'm like, wait a second, who is this? Scooter, who? And then finding out that that's your nickname, and Ubaldo is the king of all things mortgage and lending. And I just, that was such a special moment. But the way that you treated me, you brought me into your home, and you kind of gave me the blueprints, if you will, of what it looks like to really work a contract in my favor. And I'm just so immensely thankful for that. And I kind of
here for, babe.
Yeah, well, and it's so pivotal, and with my background truly being more so in the leasing side of things, I really want to talk to you about that first conversation we had, because it was so impactful for me and gave me an entirely different look on real estate and leasing.
Yeah,
so,
your career started in leasing.
It did.
And you got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then your clients had budgets that were like the same as mortgage payments. So when I met you, I was like, okay, so you realize that these people could own a home, build equity, your career could change in a major way, and you ran with that. You literally, and we've had countless clients that you've turned from renters into buyers. You use our rent versus buy analysis. Tell me about that.
Well, and I want you to unpack that more just so people understand that, because, that's something I work with daily. But, the types of clienteles that I really harvest within my brokerage is more luxury leasing. So we're looking at high rises. And so when we're looking at high rises, I came to you specifically with one client, and I kind of want to talk to you about it and how you were able to really prove to them what they're doing and the impact of that type of value. Their penthouse that they were living in was $12,000. And I came to you and I said, I have a client that's renting. Let's turn them into a buyer.
The best clients ever. They were so sweet.
They are the best. I love them so much.
Yes.
But talk to me about the analysis that you pulled for them, and that resulted into a multi-million-dollar home for them.
Yeah, I think that it's really important as a partner of our realtors to showcase things that make them not sound like salespeople, right? Because we're not, yes, you're selling them a home, but it doesn't need to be that home. If they wanted something less expensive, if they wanted to rent, you still care about the person at the end of the day. But the reason why you brought them to me is because they were missing out on a major thing, which is building wealth in their lives and taking the stepping stones to quote unquote adulting in a different way. And what I was able to provide with that rent versus buy analysis is the facts, right? We always want to stick to the facts. So when you can show them, okay, this is how much wealth you're building for yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, through the appreciation in your home, through the tax deductibility, through, now being able to invest in other properties because you've cashed out some of that equity and parlayed that into an investment property and grown the portfolio. Being able to show that broader picture to them and not just, oh, this is one payment versus the other, it really does kind of hit home the fact that you're an educator and I'm an educator that's your partner, and we're no longer salespeople.
Right.
And then that makes it a much easier decision for them because they see that we're genuinely trying to help them, which is really all we want.
Well, and the way that you go about doing it is in the most magical way. Because every time I connect my clients to you, Scooter, I get a phone call and they're like, he is magic, like held in a bottle. Like, we love him. I'm like, I know. I only work with the best.
Yeah. And I love that. I only work with the best. That's why I work with you. And I love that because, when you get to a certain place in your career, you get to surround yourself with this kind of energy, your energy, Nicola.
Well, and this is a momentum that keeps us going.
Yeah, and it just kind of, when people can get in, it's gonna be the most stressful thing they probably will ever do in their life, the biggest investment. If we can be educated and walk them through the process and educate them along the way and be fun, that is, it's going to take so much stress off. They're changing where they live. They're emptying their bank account for the down payment.
Right.
They're probably fighting over furniture. If they have kids, they're moving their kids. I always tell people buying a house brings the worst out in people, right?
Sure.
So when we come to them with the 3-2-1 buy down or a rent versus buy analysis, and they understand all the reasons why they're doing all this and they're having fun doing it,
right?
It's the only thing that you and I could hope for.
Absolutely. Amen. I love it.
So, of course, Nicola, like I always tell my realtors, and everyone that's one of my realtors can say, they've heard this at one point or another, you're the Beyonce, I'm just the backup dancer, right?
I love it when you say that.
Right? Okay. So that being said, the rent versus buy analysis has kind of changed your game in a major way. Can you speak to that and kind of let me know, like, obviously increasing your market share is all I want for you as one of my agents. So tell me a little bit about how that's helped you increase your market share, especially with your pool of prior renters that you had.
I'll tell you what, when you have the facts down on paper on your analysis, those numbers are staring directly at you. And it's hard for someone to stomach, essentially in a renter's market, they're opening up the window and just tossing their money out the window.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that is so significant, and it speaks volumes, especially with the types of clientele that I have, because we're not talking $1,200 a month.
Yeah, we're luxury renters.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking 10,000 plus. Yeah. And, when that does come into play, it's, the tax advantages with that and all of the other opportunities that just expand when you do purchase and building of equity. That's their piggy bank that they can hold on to in the comfort of their own home. And I think that is what has the most significant value and draw with my renters is when they see the facts that you present them, they look at me and say, Nicola, how could I rent again?
Yeah, the numbers don't lie.
They don't lie. Yeah. And, I think it does truly depend on the client. You have some people that have sold off everything. They don't want to be attached to anything. They just want to rent. But I would say 95% of the clientele that we work with, that's not their end goal right now. Right. That might be it eventually, but let's accrue all of this real estate and make it as an investment. And eventually, we don't care if we're spending $20,000 a month on rent. We can let it go out the window.
Right, and that's a good point. So a lot of the people that are in luxury rentals, they are first generation educated. They are the first ones making real money in their families. And so they don't really have that example of, how do I take my money and help my money make money for me, right?
Yes.
So the rent versus buy analysis does just that. It educates them on how to take that next step in building of the wealth And again, takes you from being someone who's just trying to sell them a home and turns you into an educator.
Right.
And somebody that genuinely cares about building their wealth and helping them through life.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but then once they buy that house, they tell their friends who also rent about it. And those become your clients as well, which I love. So
we love a good domino effect.
yes, of course. So, I mean, Nicola, you having any time with you is just the most magical and fun time.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to so much more of our business and our lives together.
I could not agree with that more. Thank you for letting me come, and it's been a pleasure just being with you.